guys doing? Happy Tuesday. How many of y'all watched the video? I didn't hear anybody tell me anything. But the name of the series on Netflix is called Absurd Animals. And it's really absurd. Really just a weird take on some unusual animals. And I think the word that I want to really, I want y'all to watch this because it's kind of relates to, how our society is really diverse, and to really be successful, you've got to find, what really makes you flourish and makes you stay strong and helps you survive and stuff like that. And that kind of relates to the animals and how they cohabitat in a very diverse culture. And so those animals, especially in that first episode, they have unique adaptations, unique features or characteristics. They also have they have a niche. The dung beetle. Who else is going to eat poo? So the dung beetle really, that's its niche. Nobody can mess with that. They are happy and they're going to flourish because they've got what's making them successful. Poo. Okay. But anyway, now you're going to watch Absurd Animals on Netflix, and it's crazy. And if you're scared of centipedes, watch it anyway. Anyway, let's go ahead and get along with today's date, because after today's date, we're going to talk about integers. I communicated with your teachers from James Keenan, that those of you that are going to James Keenan, even if you're going to Wallace Hill, Austin, if you're going to Wallace Hill, if you're going to the early college, East Duplin, wherever you're going to have to deal with the integers. You're going to have to deal with solving equations again. You're going to have to deal with slope, intercept, graphing, analyzing graphs. A lot of stuff that we did in 8th grade, you're going to have to do again in 9th grade, but a little bit deeper. So the more you understand your arithmetic with the integers, how to deal with decimals, how to deal with fractions and stuff like that, the easier it's going to be for you next year, and you're going to feel better about yourselves, and you're going to grow up to be great problem solvers. And that's why I love math. Math just, the more successful you are with it, the more confident you are at solving problems in anything. So let's get started. Today's date. All right. We have 2 to the 4th divided by the square root of 16. 8 divided by 2 over 7. And we have 1 minus 35 plus the square root of 196. And all of that will be divided by -1. All right. So take a moment, write that down. And I'm going to go ahead and work it out. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's work it out. So 2 to the 4th, we kind of did this yesterday. That is multiplying the 2 4 times. We've got not 2 times 4, but the 2 itself. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So we got 2 times 2 is 4, so that's 2 of the 2's. And then 4 times 2 is 8. And then 8 times 2 is 16. So we've multiplied the 2 4 times. So 2 to the 4th is 16. The square root of 16 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. And then we just divide those two. We've got 16 divided by 4. You already know that. It's 4. 8 divided by 2 over 7. I know you guys still have some trouble right here with this. 8 is a whole number, but if you write it as a fraction, it's 8 over 1. That helps you guys. Whenever you are dividing by a fraction, you're pretty much multiplying by the reciprocal. So that would be 7 over 2. Then we multiply. We multiply our numerators. 8 times 7 is 56. And 1 times 2 in the denominator, which is 2. 56 divided by 2 is 28. Then our last one here, I'm going to take my thing off. We're going to work this top right here. We need to simplify this top, and then we can divide everything by -1. So if we start with 1 minus 35, we would get, well, you don't have to start here. Let's start right here. Let's go ahead and get this square root done. The square root of 196. Let's think about this. I use some anchors when I'm doing the square root. So I like to use, when I get in these numbers, I know 10 times 10 is 100. I know 15 times 15 is 225. So since 196 is between 100 and 225, I start working with the numbers inside there. We did 11 times 11 yesterday, so we know it's not it. So let's go with one less than the 15. Let's do 14 times 14, which is actually correct, because if you, another little cool thing is that when you multiply 4 times 4, you get 16, because that's where you start when you multiply this out. Notice this last digit is 6. That's a good way to estimate as well. And we talked about this before when we did these. So the square root of 196 is 14. So we have 1 minus 35 plus 14 that we got to simplify. Remember, all that's going to be divided by 1. So from left to right, 1 minus 35. I want to talk about this for a minute because we're going to be dealing with integers. These are integers. If I, let's say I want to go buy something. And it cost $35. Well, I only have $1. So if I only have $1 and the debt is $35, I'm still going to owe $34. Owe 34. Remember that O is the negative. So now I'm owing 34, and then I come back and I was like, I've got, not equals, plus the 14. I come back and pay on my debt, so I've got $14 to pay on my debt. When I pay on it, it's still not enough to get me out of the negative. But when I subtract that from the 34, I get 20. So I only owe $20. So that's the conversation in my head when I'm doing these positive and negatives. So now the top of this is negative 20. So negative 20 divided by negative 1. If y'all don't remember, negatives divided by a negative is a positive. So negative 20 divided by negative 1 is a positive 20. And there's today's date. 4/28/20, which is also my son's birthday right now. He's asleep because he played video games. Interesting thing with his quarantine. Alright, so that was today's date. Let's go ahead and move on to the actual lesson. I'm not going to try not to take too long with this. We're going to talk about integers. So if you already are comfortable, if you did this and you are you know what you're doing with integers, you don't have a problem with that, you don't make mistakes very much in classes, you know who you are, you can probably move on, and later I'll have the 3 equations up there and you can work on those. But if you remember in class in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and if you were struggling with adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing integers, you might want to pay attention to this part. And also I did some assignments in Khan Academy to help you understand the operations with integers as well. So our